Okay, let's solve this proportion. A over 24 equals 15 over 16. You might be able to solve it in your head, and I'm sure you've learned plenty of other ways to solve it. But let's go ahead and solve it by cross multiplying and dividing. Okay, so I'm going to work this out one way, and then we'll talk about maybe a little bit easier way to do it. But first we need to know how this works. Okay, so cross multiplying, we can multiply, okay, from the bottom across the top. So 24 times 15, so let me write this down. 24 times 15 equals 16 times A. 16 times A. All right. 24 times 15 is 360, and then 16 times A we write as just 16A. Now we can solve this like normal. Okay, divide both sides by 16, and we get 360 over 16. We can then reduce that, and it reduces into 45 over 2. Okay, great. But let's think about what we actually did there. Let me go back to here. Okay, 15 over 16. All right, we started by multiplying 15 times 16. So let me go ahead and write that maybe in blue, 15 times 16. And then after we did that, we divided by 16. 15 times 24, and then we divided by 16. So we divided by this number. Okay, and if you notice this number, the 16, is the number across from the A. That's how proportions always work. You always end up multiplying the two numbers that are across from each other and dividing by the number that's across from the variable. So instead of writing out the steps of forming an equation, which is great and not so hard to do, you can just do it all at one time and just type it in on your calculator or whatever you're using, or just do it by hand, multiply, divide, done. Okay, let's go on to the next one. 8 quarts of oil cost $14. How much do 5 quarts of oil cost? So we can set up a proportion from this. 8 quarts of oil cost, I'm going to put 8 quarts, cost $14. Okay, and so how much do 5 quarts cost? Okay, this is what we want to know right here. Okay, so we can set up this proportion. Notice how quarts are across from each other. The money is both on the bottom. Okay, so quarts in the numerator, money in the denominator. If we had it upside down, we would still be okay, just so long as the quarts are in the same place as the money, and the money's in the same place as well. This is together, 8 quarts cost 14. They have to be in the same fraction, and 5 quarts cost how much? That has to be in the same fraction. So if we remember, we can multiply the numbers that are across from each other and divide by the number that is across from the variable. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. We'll do 14 times 5, and then that's 70 divided by 8 is $8.75 for 5 quarts. Okay, go on to the next one. Here's another proportion. So if you remember, normally we would multiply the two numbers that are across from each other and divide by the other one. Well, this is a little bit more complicated. So we're going to have to do it the way that we did the other one, where we cross multiply or multiply across the top. Okay, so we're going to multiply, let's do the blue first, 3 times p minus 5, okay, and that will equal 4 times p plus 3. 4 times p plus 3. Okay, now we have a normal equation. This is a linear equation you already know how to solve. So we can distribute the 3p minus 15 equals, and we can distribute the 4p plus 12. Okay, and then from there we can definitely solve it, no problem. Okay, so let's subtract 3p from both sides. And let's subtract 12 from both sides. And then we are done. Okay, let's look at this. What is 20% of 70? Okay, what is 20% of 70? I think most of you would probably be pretty comfortable setting this up as what is 20% of 70, okay? Oh, there we go. Okay, most of you would be pretty comfortable with this. You have the part, that's what we're looking for, over the whole, or you could think of it as the is over the of. We've talked about that before. Is over of, okay, and then percent over 100. So the 70 is the of, because it comes after the word of, and then 20 is the percent over 100. And so you can set it up this way. You can do your proportion, multiply and divide. I'm going to show you a different way to do these types of problems today. So let us rewrite this as an equation. Okay, what? That's our question. That's what we don't know. I'm going to put an X there. We're going to translate this directly into math language, okay, from English into algebra. What is 20%? So write it as a decimal. Of means times 70, okay? So this is an equation that we can solve really easily. 0.2 times 70 is 14. So X is 14, and 14 is our answer. Okay? Let's do another one like this. We're going to translate this directly from English into algebra. So 40%, okay, 40%, write it as a decimal. Of means times what number? That's our variable, okay? I'm going to write W in for what number, but that's just a variable. Is 130. Okay, you could also write this as 0.4x is 130. Okay, either way you prefer. I like to use what number, but we can use x too. Okay, so then we have 0.4 times the variable is 130. Divide both sides by 0.4. And we get that the number is 130 divided by 0.4, 325. All right, great. Okay, let's do the same thing. 121 is what percent of 44? So 121 is equals what percent? I'm going to write a WP, that's my variable. Of means times 484. Okay, so we can divide both sides by 484. And we get 0.25 equals the percent. But remember, this is a decimal, so we write our answer as a percent, because we're looking for percent. All right.